Good morning to all the beautiful people out there. And thank you again for choosing to spend some of your precious time with me this morning, and of course with South Coast Radio. Today we have had a request to talk about identifying limiting beliefs. Now, let's just say, what is a limiting belief? A limiting belief is a thought or a state of mind that you think is the truth, and it stops you from doing certain things, okay? And they don't always have to be about yourself. They can be limiting beliefs about how the world works. You know, the world is a dangerous place, the world is a bad place, it's a negative place, and it can be about how you see people in general. Some people have the attitude that, everybody's out to get me, people are all generally dishonest, and that kind of thing. So it's a belief that stops you from doing certain things, but it's also a belief that stops you from fully engaging with life and enjoying life and reaching your potential. So how do we identify a limiting belief? Well, to discover your limiting beliefs, think about the things that you would like to do, would like to achieve, but up to now haven't had I almost want to say the word courage to do it because of these limiting beliefs. And look for the reasons behind why you haven't done certain things. So let's say you'd like to go skydiving. You say, I'd love to go skydiving, but... And whatever comes after the but is your limiting belief. I don't think I could ever cope with it. It's a very general limiting belief. Have you investigated it? Have you found out what it entails? Have you found out about the training, etc., etc.? So it stops you from doing certain things. And very often it is this, I want to say the simple things, but these simple things all add up and they become huge things in your life. It is almost that lack of confidence which is started by the limit, or fueled and fed by the limiting belief that you are not clever enough, you are not fast enough, you cannot participate in, let's say, athletics. You are simply don't see yourself as good enough, and you see other people as so much better than you. Though that can also dovetail, as we've chatted before, with lack of confidence and a low sense of self, but let's just stick to the beliefs. So identifying them is not that difficult, because if you, as I've said, if you think about the things you would like to do, but hitherto have not because you don't feel you've got what it takes, you have to then interrogate that. So if it means you have to go and get training to do a certain thing, then it means, yes, at this moment, I haven't got what it takes, but I can go and get the training, which will enable me. Or do you stop short of saying, even with the training, I don't believe that I will achieve a certain thing. Where do they come from? I think this is hugely helpful if we can identify where we get our limiting beliefs from, that they can come from parents. If your parents were very critical, if your parents never gave you appropriate and adequate praise and recognition, if you were seen by the important people in your life as not quite good enough. So look at the messages you got from the important people in your life. Did your parents, if you came home with a good report, were they over the moon and totally proud of you, or any other sporting achievement? Or were they, yes, that's great, but, or that's fine, but, Susie or Peter, they got or did so much better. So think about those messages you got as you were growing up. Secondly, it could come from your peers. I listened to, funny enough, Jay Chetty interviewing someone, and he was telling how he was at school ridiculed by a bunch of girls. And if I remember correctly, he was about 14 years old. And that had affected him terribly for a long time, and he believed he wasn't, quite worthy of the things he desired because of this incident. So it could come from peers, it could come from colleagues, where, a colleague or a couple of colleagues have treated you as less than, and you bought into it. That's also important. If you've got a good sense of self and confidence and somebody criticizes you, as I've said before, if somebody criticizes you and you can sit back and think about it objectively and say, you're right, I was wrong, I apologize. Or you can say, you know what, I've listened and thought about what you said and I don't believe it. I don't buy into it. I don't agree with you at all. Then it's not a limiting belief. Then you have not bought into it. But if somebody criticizes you and you walk away with your tail between your legs, and from that day on you believe you are less than or not capable of or as capable as they are, then that becomes a limiting belief. It limits you. The very word limiting belief tells you it limits you in what you believe you can do and can achieve. And then general family values. If you grew up in a family that said, oh, well, we are not as rich as the Smiths, or, only the Van der Merwes can go on an overseas holiday, or we see ourselves as in a certain group that is not as good as, or as fortunate as, or as clever as. Though that family is incredibly clever. Look at their mom is this, dad is that. The kids are doing amazing at school. Oh, they're amazing. We are just ordinary people. That is something we hear a lot. We are just ordinary people. I'm just an ordinary person. And you know what? You're not. You are unique and you're special, and you have your own unique talents and abilities. And that is what you have to got. That's what you've got to lean into and get comfortable with. We all have things we can't do, but if they are important to you, then acquire the knowledge and the skills to do them. As I've used the example before about the peacock. The peacock cannot sing. It makes a dreadful screeching noise. It certainly cannot fly. But the peacock doesn't go through life thinking, I wish I could sing like a canary and I wish I could soar high in the skies like an eagle. No, the peacock has got that magnificent plumage, the tail that it spreads, and we all are in utter awe of that. And we don't say, yes, well, it's got a nice tail, but, it can't fly, and therefore, it's not really such a nice bird. We appreciate it for what it has. We all have strengths and weaknesses. And if you can identify your strengths and be comfortable with that and explore them to their fullest potential. And if there is a weakness and it is something that you would like to become better at, then acquire the skills and the knowledge to do so. So it's very helpful if you can identify where your limiting beliefs came from. Because once you understand that, now I know why I have always thought I cannot play the piano. It's because I got this message as a child that, with your stubby fingers, you'll never be able to play the piano. So mom was not going to waste her money on sending you to piano lessons. And that made you believe you will never play the piano. Then you can now say, no, but that's not true. I am going to go for piano lessons and I'm going to enjoy it and I'm going to play the piano to a degree that satisfies me, whatever that degree is then. So really, again, so much of what we talk about is about excavating the layers of who you are and what has brought you to this point in life. And if we can identify the good, the bad, and the ugly, then we can start understanding why we have certain ways and why we do certain things and why we have certain beliefs. And then we can change them. Because just to say, change a belief without you understanding why you had it in the first place, becomes difficult because the brain likes the familiar and it'll hang on to that. And it takes new knowledge and a new understanding to change the wiring in the brain so that you can say, no, that was yesterday. Now that I know better, I do better. And therefore, I am no longer going to buy into these limiting beliefs. I want to be more. I want to do more. I want to have more. And I'm going to explore everything until I'm satisfied that I have reached my potential. So I hope that's useful because, as I say, we're not born with limiting beliefs. We pick them up along the way. And if you can identify your limiting beliefs by, as I said, by asking, what do I want to do that I haven't done? And then ask yourself, why haven't I done it? And that should bring you to that limiting belief. And then ask yourself, where did that come from? When did it start? Because I was not born that way. I was certainly not a toddler believing that. But at some point, someone or some situation gave me the message that I'm not enough. And at that point, I embraced that for whatever reason. And that has been a limiting belief that has prevented me from living my best life. Then you can start working on that. So I hope that was useful. I hope that was helpful as always. And please keep the requests coming. We love getting them and being of value to you and bringing you closer to reaching your full potential. With that, I hope you have a wonderful day and a wonderful end of week and weekend. It's been rather chilly, so I hope you will stay warm and cozy and stay safe.
The radio station you can't live without. This is your radio.
This is South Coast Radio.